Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be how the narcissist moves on so easily. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So jumping right in, the narcissist, post-relationship, they move on so quickly for so many reasons. One reason is because they don't have to heal. The narcissist cannot love and they have no empathy. So what they care about is extracting as much of a person's resources as they can before they leapfrog to another relationship. And this is how they go throughout life. They never cared about the person that they were with or the person that they are with right now as a human being. They cared about what that person, which at one point was you, what they provided for the narcissist. Now, you weren't taught narcissism in school, so you did not have the education. You did not know what kind of relationship you were in. And when the narcissist, let's say they discarded you, well, what happened there is you had to spend many nights by yourself, isolated, alone, crying. Perhaps you experienced the anger stage, but you had to process things that how somebody could just move on so easily. Who does this? Who would behave this way to another person who perhaps proclaimed that they loved you or cared about you? I'll tell you right now who would do it. A person who has no soul. They have no love. They have no authenticity. And what they wanted to do, and they succeeded for a period of time, was to manipulate you and to trick you and trap you and imprison you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially in this place called the narcissistic fog. So going back in time when you first met the narcissist, they most likely wore a mask and they manipulated you into falling in love with them or loaning them money or providing a lifestyle for them, maybe getting married, raising kids, creating a business, who knows. But they said certain things to you to mimic back to you what you wanted to hear. Now, you did not know what you were up against, so you most likely were a people pleaser or a yes person or an empath or believed that other people on the planet had your best interest at heart. Now, you had heard that, yeah, out there in the world, it can be rough and it's not fair and people don't get treated equally, but it didn't really apply to you because all you were doing back then was focusing on yourself and you were just looking at other people as people and you were trying to contribute to the planet. In other words, you were probably using or wearing rose-tinted glasses and you hadn't encountered the juggernaut called the narcissist yet. And the narcissist knew who they were, what they were going to do to you, and how they would do it. But the first step for them was to get close to you, to perhaps have you fall in love with them or relocate, all the things I mentioned on the channel. And once you said the magic words, I love you, or let's get married, something like that, that's when the narcissist's eyes got swelled up with supply the size of beach balls. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is it. I now have a ticket for the rest of my life or for a period of time in my life, and this person's going to provide it. They're going to provide a lifestyle for me. They're going to provide for me, and the whole time while they're providing for me in the relationship, what I will do once that wedding ring is on the finger is I will begin to devalue this person. I will begin to ask for more and more and more, and I will continue to play the moving goalpost game, and I will begin to gaslight them. I will begin to triangulate them. I'll begin to give them the silent treatment. I'll begin to not reply to their texts or answer the phone calls. But at the same time, while I'm doing all these things, what I will do is continue to press the gas pedal down on this relationship. And I will see how long the person, which was you, can sustain a existence in the relationship while they are giving to a fault and while all of their resources are becoming depleted and their social circle is being blown up left, right, and center all around them. And the reason the social circle will be blown up is because I, the narcissist, and I'm not really one, I will administer the smear campaign. As soon as those wedding bells have rung and when the guests have left, I will begin to devalue my partner. Maybe even the day after we got married, who knows? But what I will do is I will put them in a position, I will corner them, if you will, in a position where they can't make any moves other than what I want them to make. So that example would be if you got married, let's say that you were married, and the very next day the narcissist began to devalue you. Well, they knew that you weren't going to get divorced the day after you got married, because who would do that? Very few people would do that. And also, you believed back then you were making excuses for them or saying, oh, they just had a bad day, or there's pressure on them from the wedding. Maybe they blew up on me, but I can look past it. You made so many excuses for the behavior of the narcissist back then because, again, you didn't know what you were up against. Now flip the script for a minute. The narcissist knew exactly what they were doing. They knew when to shower you with fake empathy, fake love, fake humanity, and they knew when to pull back and make you pine for them or wonder where they are or why they're staying late at work or why they can't answer a text or why they look at your messages via text but they don't respond or why they don't answer their phone. They were manipulating you throughout that whole relationship. They were trying to take advantage of you. Now, in the beginning of this video, I mentioned something very important. I'll say it again. The narcissists can't love and they have no empathy. So when they find that gem, that diamond in the rough, if you will, which is you, and you don't have the wisdom on the narcissistic abusive cycle because you didn't, you're acquiring it now, then it is very advantageous for the narcissist to take advantage of you. And this is how they go from person to person, place to place, business to business, relationship to relationship, blowing up everything in their path. Because they take unsuspecting people who don't know that narcissism is prevalent and they blow up their relationships with that person after they create or develop the relationship. But not only that, there's much fallout post-narcissistic relationship because all of your resources get decimated. Your finances, I'm certain, went to zero or credit card debt. Your health definitely took a hit. Your network of friends blew up. Your job maybe you lost. And maybe so many other things happened. Relationships were being blown up all around you. And friends that you've had for 10, 20, 30 years, they disappeared because they believed the smear campaign, or there were toxic people themselves and they revealed themselves. And side note, pro tip, everybody reveals themselves in time. The narcissist reveals themselves. You will reveal yourself. I have revealed myself. We all reveal ourselves in time. It's just a matter of when that will happen. Will you put yourself back together post-narcissistic relationship and heal and have the sleepless nights and process childhood wounds and see a therapist and meditate and journal and slow your life down? That's what you should be doing if you haven't done it. And then eventually one day you'll put yourself back together and you'll reach that pinnacle of indifference, that mountaintop of indifference, when you look back at that relationship and you say, wow, that thing almost took me down for the count. I almost didn't exist, but here I am, and I'm grateful. Not that I went through the relationship, but that I healed from it and I learned from it, because I am now in the third version of myself, the strongest, most galvanized version known to humankind. But going back, how the narcissist moves on so easily, it's because they didn't care. And the mask had slipped and your resources had become diminished and depleted. And the person in a relationship that does not care, they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Please play that again. The person in a relationship who doesn't care has nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that is the crux of the narcissistic relationship. Because most likely, let's say it was a romantic relationship or somebody you loved, maybe it was your son, daughter, brother, sister, who knows. You love them and you probably still do love them. But the point is, you now understand that they are not good for you. That's why you had to go, if you haven't already, no contact, block them, delete them, remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. Now going back to what I shared, yes, this was a lifelong learning lesson, but the person that you were in the relationship with, they never cared about you. They only cared about what you provided. They cared about what you did for them. Were you the unpaid helper? Were you the walk-in apology? Were you the person who paid the bills and ran the errands and kept the house cleaned and cooked and planned vacations and paid for things? And were you the glue that kept the family together? Most likely you were. And the reason I say you were is because if you are a kind, loving individual, maybe even an empath, you were giving to a fault. You were maybe even a people pleaser. Maybe you couldn't say no, the strongest word in the English language, back then. But now you have boundaries and now you've healed, or you're well on the healing path, headed for that pinnacle of indifference, that mountaintop of indifference, where you no longer care about the narcissist or anybody from that period of time. You say, good job, you almost took me down for the count. You didn't. Just stay away from me. Just stay away from me. That's what you say. And why you say that is because you've gotten the light bulb moments. You have identified and actually processed and confirmed that this person or these people never served you. And that is one reason why the narcissist can move on so easily, because they didn't care about you. And if you think that they care about the new supply, think again. The new supply is nothing but a pawn or a puppet, or maybe even they're playing the narcissist and they're a toxic individual themselves. But the new supply will go through the same wrath and the same relationship that you went through. It just may be a lot quicker or shorter period of time. And many times people say, hey, well, no, the new supply has been married to the narcissist for 10 years. I was with them only for 2. What's going on there? Well, what's going on there is you probably still have healing to do because you're counting the years that the narcissist is with the new supply. And if it's been 10 years, that's not new supply, that's old supply. And the narcissist is most likely running around behind the new supply. They're back because the cycle goes on and on and on. It needs to go on. That's how this planet works. There is good and there is not good on the planet. The cycle will go on. The point is it needs to go on without you. You experience the toxic narcissistic relationship. You want nothing to do with that any longer from anybody. That's why you do have boundaries. And that's why you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. When you come through the fire and rise through the ashes like a phoenix and you process the relationship and you heal and you do all the heavy lifting that I talk about and you fill that void, there's a huge void post-narcissistic relationship, which I can talk about. I created a video on that a couple of years ago. I can do it again. But the void needs to be filled with you and by you. It can't be filled with another relationship. It can't be filled with you peaking and unpeaking or blocking and unblocking the narcissist. It can't be with you accepting hoovers. It needs to be focused on you, and you need to slow your life down and to process that relationship. And if you've made it this far in the video, that means that you are getting the wisdom. You found the needle in a haystack, which is the narcissistic abusive cycle education that I provide. Drop comments in the community section. Drop comments below on the video. Pay the video forward. The whole purpose of the channel is to let you know that A, you are not alone. B, it was not your fault. C, you can and will put yourself back together. I did it. If I can do it, you can do it. And D or E, whichever letter I'm on, to let you know that the narcissist doesn't care about anybody other than themselves. So that is how they can move on so easily. Another way they can move on so easily is because the new supply most likely has resources that you used to have, or they have more resources than you did have, certainly than you do have. Maybe they have deeper pockets. Maybe they have more money. Maybe they have access to networks of friends that you couldn't provide. Maybe their health is in perfect shape. Maybe they are arm candy for the narcissist. Maybe they take the abuse left, right, and center, and they're an empath and they don't know any better. There are many reasons why the narcissist goes from supply to supply, but again, that is not your concern these days. Your concern is to heal, to learn, to grow, to teach, to become awakened and aware, educated and empowered, and to understand that that relationship you were a part of, you had to go through it. There was no other way. If you think you could have avoided that relationship, that was not the case. However, if you didn't meet that toxic narcissistic person, you would have met somebody else because you had to get this wisdom. And this is wisdom that is priceless. You can't purchase it in school. You can't read a book. And you can't watch a video and just get it like that. You have to go through the narcissistic abusive cycle to speak the same language that I speak. And believe me when I tell you, if you did not go through the narcissistic abusive cycle, be grateful, because you don't want to go through it. Many people that go through it don't come out through the other side. Other people stay trapped in the narcissistic fog because they never figure out that they were with a narcissist. And then there are the third group of people, which are you. You've gone through the fire, you're getting the wisdom, you're applying the tools, and you're understanding that you were manipulated, you were grifted, you were taken advantage of, and you were duped and tricked and trapped. And you existed in that narcissistic fog for a long period of time until either A, you were discarded, or B, you ended it yourself. But either way, that was a relationship that you had to go through. And why the narcissist moves on so easily? Many times what they do, sincerely, is they'll go back to family members, moms or dads, or people that are toxic themselves, because they go back because those are the people that helped create the narcissist. Now that's for a whole different series. Another thing is the narcissist tries to recycle past relationships. Whether you were married or not, that doesn't matter. They will go back to familiarity, to things that are very familiar with them, to people they know they can manipulate again, or to people that they know that they can take from or do things for them. That's what the narcissist wants. The narcissist at their core, they're lazy, they're cowards, they're bullies, they're abusers, and they're manipulators. And they will twist any words that are said to them or mentioned to them any which way they want to. That is why the path is to not communicate with these people, not let them know your whereabouts, who you're with, who you're in love with, what your friends are, what your hair color is, where you're going on vacation, anything. You want them to know zero. You want to get off their radar and become small. Become small. Now, having said all these things, when the relationship ended, you had to heal. You had to process things. You had to find that needle in a haystack. You had to get your light bulb moments. The narcissist did not have any healing to do because there's nothing to heal from an empty shell. What the narcissist, all they had to do was get their gear, belongings, disappear in the middle of the night and go on to another new unsuspecting source of supply. And that's how the cycle goes around and around and around. And post-narcissistic relationship, many people, before they get the wisdom, they believe that the one person that will have the answers to the questions that they have is the narcissist. And they're looking for closure. They're looking for answers. The narcissist will never give you closure. The narcissist can't give you closure. The narcissist wants you stuck and trapped in that narcissistic fog. They don't want you breaking the trauma bond. They don't want you breaking the cycle. They don't want you putting yourself back together. They don't want you healing. They want you to be put on that shelf with all their other past sources of supply so they can come back eventually, maybe one day, and hoover you and try to draw you back into the relationship to finish you off, or to see if you have healed or if you've understood who they finally are. And another thing, many times people say, they ask me, does a narcissist know what they're doing? 100% they know what they're doing. Why do you think they targeted you? Why do you think they figured out what made you tick? Whether the narcissist you're thinking about was a parent or a sibling or a lover or a friend or a coworker or a person in the community. These people look for people who do not know their own value or worth. They look for empaths. They look for kind, loving people. They look for people to elevate their lifestyle. They look for people to take from. And you, at one point, were a prime target. So was I. The point being, now that you understand that these kind of people are all over the planet, you want nothing to do with them. That's why people need to jump through hoops to get to you. They have to vet themselves if you want to allow them in your life or not. No longer do you just give back to a person to contribute to the betterment of their life or existence because you can. You give back because you want to, and you are now in stable or reciprocal relationships that are equal. They are equal like that. It's not one person demanding and taking and taking and taking, and another person being subservient, being an unpaid helper and giving and giving and giving. Those days are long over. And for many people that I've had one-on-one sessions with over the last few years, many people have had to block their own children. Many people have had to block their moms or dads. Many people have had to block their former lovers. Many people have had to block their brothers and sisters or neighbors or people in businesses or associates or teachers or professors. This narcissistic abuse, it's all around us. It's becoming more and more, not prevalent, but people are opening their eyes more to it, and they're not tolerating the poor behaviors of the past. And people also ask me, hey, when did this really start? Like, how long has it been around? And do you think it's getting worse or better? I'll answer that for you right now briefly. It's always been around since the beginning of time. Look in any religious scripture from years ago or any religious manual or book, whatever you want to call these things, it's written all over there. But number two is it's more prevalent now because of the advent of the internet and the smartphone. Before the advent of the internet and the smartphone, whatever part of the world you would live in, you used to just circulate in probably a 1 or 2 or maybe 3 mile radius in your little neighborhood or community. And you had to look up people on a phone book and use a rotary dial phone. For those of you who are younger, look those things up. They're antiques now. But you would stay in your little bubble. And if you had to go to a town or a city 3 hours away, that was a big deal back then. Now it's not like that. You can jump on a plane and be a 3-hour trip in, 45 minutes or an hour or whatever. And the smartphone connects the whole world. Different countries, different languages, different relationships are developed each and every day on social media. They sincerely are. So it's just that more and more people are experiencing the toxicity of the narcissist because the narcissist lives on the smartphone. This is where they get so much of their supply. That's why the narcissist many times has multiple phones, because if one battery dies, well, I've got 2 more. Or they have one phone for work, one phone for personal, and one phone for other sources of supply. Who knows? But understand what I'm sharing with you. That narcissism has always been around on the planet. Go back to when you were a kid. Remember you had that crazy uncle that people would call? Hey, he's the crazy uncle. No one talks to him, whatever. Well, was he the narcissist? Or was he the smart one that stayed away from the family? Think about what I'm sharing with you. There are so many different nuances to narcissistic abuse, so many different layers of the onion to peel back. And right when you peel one back, there are 3 more that appear. When you peel one of those back, another 3 appear, and so on and so on. That's why this education is priceless. You can't acquire it in a school course. You can acquire it directly if you go through the narcissistic abusive cycle. And again, my hope is you didn't and you don't. But if you did, drop comments below, pay it forward when your cup is full. Before I close the video, remember how the narcissist or why the narcissist can move on so easily. It's because they didn't care. From the beginning you met them, all they cared about was having you fall in love with them or getting close to you so they could take as much of your resources as possible. And they accomplished that. And when the mask finally slipped or they found the new supply, maybe it was around your birthday or a holiday that you used to love, that's when they usually discard people, because they want to inflict the most damage as possible to you. And that's what they do. And believe me when I tell you, the new supply will get it eventually, unless the new supply wises up and ends it themselves, or unless the new supply is a toxic person themselves and they'll end it with the narcissist. Who knows? But that's not for our concern these days. Our concern is focusing on ourselves, getting our cup full and paying it forward when we are healed and when we are understanding that that relationship is something that we had to go through. And the narcissist, how they can move on so quickly or easily, because they just don't care. So guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. God bless you. I love you. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Focus on yourselves. Drown out the toxicity and understand that that relationship, you had to go through it. There was no other way. Do not give energy vampires your time. Do not give them anything other than to block them, go no contact, delete them if possible. If not, utilize Grey Rock. I love you all. God bless you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye.